Primarily inspired by Grohl's divorce from photographer Jennifer Youngblood in 1996, the lyrics on The Color and the Shape are substantially more introspective and the music more developed than the Foo Fighters' debut, in which Grohl played all the instruments. The album's track listing was designed to resemble a therapy session, splitting the album between up-tempo tracks and ballads, reflecting conflicting emotions. The Color and the Shape is the Foo Fighters' second album. The first track, Doll, is a short, quiet intro song into the album that sets up Monkey Wrench perfectly to blow up big time, and it does. Monkey Wrench was the first single to be released from the album and is a real kicker of a song. And who can forget that bit in the middle where Grohl starts off and one last thing before I quit and continues non-stop without taking a breath. An awesome track. Hey Johnny Park is next and has a cool main riff to it and a nice vibe to the song, and was apparently named after a childhood friend Grohl had. Quote, "When I was young, my best friend was this kid who lived across the street from me called Johnny Park, and we were like brothers from the age of 5 to 12. I haven't heard from him since I was about 14 years old, and I thought if I named a song after him, he might call." Then we head into a great trio of songs that really flow well into one another and play off one another well. First up, it's My Poor Brain, followed by Wind Up, which has that really cool catchy chorus. Want a song that's indelible like Manimal, I hope you never see me wind up. This song was apparently aimed at the media. The loud, heavy end of Wind Up is contrasted by the quiet, soft start to the next song, Up in Arms. The dynamic works very well here and gives a real solid feel to the album. Then we head into the hit song My Hero. Many assume that this track is written about Kurt Cobain, Grohl's former Nirvana bandmate. However, Grohl has stated several times over the years that the song was more, quote, "my way of saying that when I was young, I didn't have big rock heroes. I didn't want to grow up and be some big sporting hero. My heroes were ordinary people, and the people that I have a lot of respect for are just solid everyday people. People you can rely on." From My Hero, we go into the acoustic See You, followed by the hard rocker Enough Space, which Dave Grohl stated was about the Johnny Depp film Arizona Dream. Quote, "Enough Space is actually about a movie called Arizona Dream, which is one of my favorite films." Next up, we head into another trio of songs with the loud, quiet dynamic continuing here. After the raucous of Enough Space, it's February Stars, which is a real solid and underrated song on this album, I believe. The start is so quiet, if your radio isn't turned up loud enough, you'll barely hear it. But the song just builds and builds and turns into something really cool and worth listening to. And as a side note, I remember this song playing on the tape player in my car with an old girlfriend I had back in the day when we were sitting out under the night sky one night. Aww. And it was just a perfect song to come on. It's funny how when you listen to music sometimes it can take you back to a time and a place, just like you were there yesterday, and bring back all those memories. I'll leave it at that. This song also dates back to at least January of 1994, when an early take of the song with alternate lyrics was recorded by Grohl and Chris Novoselic during Nirvana's last recording session. Everlong was the second single to be released from the album and is one of the band's most well-known and popular songs that they have ever released. In the words of bandmate Taylor Hawkins, it is a, quote, "powerful song." And in 2000, late-night talk show host David Letterman revealed that it was his favorite song. Of course, on Letterman's final ever show, he got the Foo Fighters to perform that song, saying that that was his favorite song performed by his favorite band. We now go on to the mellow Walking After You, which, quote, "it's an emotional, sappy song about getting dumped." The song also appears on the 1998 X-Files soundtrack. Then the perfect way to finish this album, it's New Way Home. The song is quite different from the rest in its own way and the way it's structured. From the first part it's fairly standard, you might say, but then we break off into a quiet piece where Grohl sings, or whispers really, "I'm not scared, I felt like this on my way home. I'm not scared, I passed boats and the kingdom." This line is sung very quietly and repeatedly several times over as the music slowly builds, and eventually everything builds into one huge crescendo and the song pumps up loud, with Grohl now yelling and screaming these same lines over and over until the music fades out and the album is done. A perfect ending to this album in my opinion, and it's a great album. It's a personal favorite of mine and many others I know. In my opinion, it would be one of my favorite Foo Fighters albums. The color and the shape, it's just gelled together. It all fits. The songs flow from one to another. It's a real album's album, if that makes any sense. The thing is just one piece of music, and it all fits into one. Now, Dave Grohl drummed on the majority of the album, so that makes it no surprise that it is a very strong album. He and former drummer William Goldsmith had a falling out at the time of recording, and Goldsmith's drumming only appears on a couple of tracks on the album. Those tracks are the first song on the album, Doll, Up in Arms, and in the verses of My Poor Brain. And the rest of the album is Dave Grohl. After the album's completion, Taylor Hawkins was hired by the band as a full-time drummer, which is why he appears on the music videos such as Monkey Wrench and Everlong, but he does not actually drum on the album itself. The Color and the Shape was nominated for a Grammy Award in 1998 for Best Rock Album, and it is the Foo Fighters' biggest U.S. seller, having sold over 2 million copies. The album was remastered and reissued in 2007 with several bonus tracks for its 10th anniversary. If you've never checked out this album, guys, if you're a fan of good rock music, and maybe you've just come to the Foo Fighters in recent years, and maybe you weren't even born when this album was released, I recommend and go back and checking this one out. It's one of the Fooey's best, in my opinion. Actually, I would rate it their #1 album. And the Foo Fighters have a lot of great music out there, and a lot of great albums too, so that's a big call. But that's my call. Go and check it out if you haven't. Thanks heaps for watching the review, and we will catch you next time.